and welcome to this edition of the Lynne Hayes Freeland Show. So, if nothing else, we know that 2020 has been a crazy year. It has been crazy on a national level. And when you look across the state of Pennsylvania and here in Pittsburgh, I feel like things have been upside down. Well, I needed two people to help me put some things in perspective, get some balance. So who better than two of our state representatives, Ed Gainey, Jake Wheatley. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having us.
So, I mean, do you two feel like things have been as chaotic as I feel, as I think that most of us feel? Has it been as chaotic feeling for you two as it has been for us?
I think from my perspective, of course, this uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks as it relates to if your children are going to go to school or if they're going to be online for a period of months, or if someone's going to shut down the restaurants, bars, and hotels and shut us all back in, or if a vaccination is going to come out, if we're going to be available to us, and what it's going to do as it relates to how we interact with that. I think all of those things are very uncertain times, and it's building an anxiety amongst people. And on top of it, we've already been in this space of kind of being separated from our loved ones and our communities since March, basically. And so you have this anti-push that's saying, look, I'm tired of this, this uncertainty. I want to go back to a normal way of living. And so with all of these pressures, I think it certainly is building up some type of communal anxiety that certainly we need to address in a real way, in a long-term way.
So you're feeling the same thing we're feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing we're feeling. What about you, Ed?
Yeah, I agree with Jake. The fatigue is major. I think the whole fatigue behind COVID-19 and the way that it just shut down everything. It made everybody step back and sit back. It shut down the churches. It shut down the schools. It shut down the businesses. It shut down everything. And I think there's a fatigue factor with it. I think the fatigue factor of COVID-19, the fatigue factor of the election that we just had, the fatigue, even in the street, the fatigue factor of Black Lives Matter, fighting for justice, the fatigue factor of the LGBTQ community. I think that people are tired, and I think a lot of it has to do with that, with COVID-19, just every single day. Like Jake said, if you got kids, your whole life has to change. There's a lot of parents, particularly in our districts, that are single moms, and they trying to balance and work in one job or two jobs in grocery stores or at Target or somewhere like that, and still trying to make way for their kids to be able to get an education. That's tiring. That's tiring. Or for a father who's coming home and he knows that, the mom may be home. He's got to make sure that he's trying to find a way to get home to help her out during school. You just think about that single mom that ain't got nobody. Ain't got nobody, and she's trying to balance the 2 or 3 jobs and make sure her child got an education. Yeah, COVID has changed a lot of things, and I think the fatigue factor is critical right now.
Well, and here's what I think. It's interesting. I hadn't really thought about this before, but as I listen to the two of you talk, there's all these things going on, and you two are among the group of people that we turn to fix it. We turn to our elected officials to fix it. And these are things that you can't fix. So that's got to weigh on you as well. I mean, we want you to fix it. We want you to fix the situation. We want you two to figure out where's the check. Where is the, where's that extra money coming from? I need a job. I feel the depression. When's school going to settle down? And these are things that you can't fix.
We can't fix them alone, but certainly we are members of bodies that have had the responsibility to fix some of it. And what I will say is, I think we need to do a better job in Harrisburg and in DC of really coming up with ways, because like you said, one of the major anxieties that people have had is this pressure around their financial security, their financial and their food and health security. These are things that certainly lie in our purview. And because of partisan bickering or because of politics, we haven't been able to really address. We've done a great job in the beginning, but now that we are in this prolonged period, we need to come up with additional resources to help people with their mortgages and rent supports, which we know the moratorium is about to expire, or really has expired. We know that the unemployment, the extended unemployment, is about to end in the later part of this month. And we have to do something now. A lot of that is federal, but some of it is on our behalf too, because we have small businesses, mom and pop shops, people who are normally out hustling and doing their own things, that we're asking them to not do as much. But in order to help them stay home, we need to help pay for it. You mentioned before we came on the air that many of our communities are working in positions where they can't just stay at home and tend to their children or social distance from other people. But if we were providing them with some real stipends, some real stimulus to help them stay at home, maybe more of them could do that. And so I think that we can't resolve the whole thing because we can't stop what nature is doing. But we can, I think, if we were working more throughout some of our partisan bickering, that we could do more to shore up the security of our communities.
So when you talk about those things, I mean, one of the things that we've heard a lot about in recent weeks is food insecurity. And we're seeing the long lines at the food banks and the food giveaways. And there are people in our communities, in all of our communities, that never thought they would be in this position. Is there going to be help available for these families, do you think, before the end of the year?
We hope, we always hope, but it's hard to say because it's hard to discuss it from a situation of what DC is going to do. But I think that there was some things that if we would have done better, and I agree with Jake here that, back then, if we would have had a president that said, listen, we're going to tackle this head on, we're going to be honest with the public, we're going to promote it in a way that talks about saving lives, we're going to talk about wearing masks, we're going to talk about social distancing. If he would have used his platform as a president to say, here's what we got to do to combat some of the issues that we're dealing with this COVID-19. If he'd have said, listen, we understand that we're asking people to stay home, we got to come up with another stimulus package that's going to be in the trillions of dollars, no question about it. I think there was ways that if we would have looked at it from a humanitarian standpoint, things back then we could have done to be able to relieve some of the pressures that people have today. But that didn't happen. And so now we're in a situation right now where, even unemployment, people call my office and we try to call people back every 5, 6, 7 days just to check and see how they doing with their unemployment, see how they doing with their food insecurities. We try, but I only got 4 people in my office, and each one of my people in my office have over 30 cases of unemployment. Now think about that. I have 4 people in my office. Each one of them got over 30 cases of unemployment that they trying to help people get their unemployment compensation benefits. Now multiply that with the rest of the state representatives throughout the Commonwealth of PA, and you can understand what a severity this is right now. So one of the things that we do is we just try to provide as many resources as possible. Dr. Kim Ellison has been a blessing, particularly in my district, because her partner with the Greater Food Bank and having these, and matter of fact, there's one today on Saturday that they're having right there on the between Wilkinsburg and Pittsburgh on Trenton Avenue, where they drive through and they're 60 pounds of food to be able to take home. The one thing that I think that we need to talk about too is think about how many neighbors is helping neighbors, how many communities is helping communities. Nobody talks about the unity that this has brought to. You see more people helping each other now than I've seen, and that's a great feeling. Because right now, that is one of the solutions, not the solution, because Jake's right, we can't do anything with the COVID-19, but what we can do, we can always be that neighbor that looks out for one another and find ways how we can assist one another. And I see that happening a whole lot.
Yeah, that is happening a whole lot. We'll talk about that and a lot more when the Lynne Hayes Freeland Show continues, so don't go away.